Welcome to the Business, Family, Marriage Podcast with Tim Smoyer. Hi, I'm Bill Scott. I am the guy who's responsible for Tim and Dana meeting each other through a radio show I did back in 1997. Now, it's so fun to see them start their marriage life together 9 years later as youth workers. At that time, they were making about $14,600 a year. But today they're growing a successful 7-figure business, providing YouTube strategy for some of the world's top brands and creators. It's pretty phenomenal to watch. And during that time, they somehow managed to have 7 kids in 8 years. That's crazy. It's almost like a record. Hey, I'm actually a business owner myself. I'm a radio personality who does fundraising for Christian radio stations all over the world. But I'm also a husband and a father, so I know how crazy life can be. Like when you're like the Smoyers, trying to manage your business, family, and marriage all at the same time. It's intense. Hello. One of the things I appreciate about Tim is he's willing to try new things when solving many of the problems that come up with the kind of lifestyle that they have, whether it's ongoing work-life balance problems, marriage struggles, business issues, or something else. In this podcast, he shares what he's learning, what's worked, what hasn't, and what he's trying next to grow a fruitful business, family, and marriage. For more on that today, here's Tim.
Well, hello. Thanks for hanging out with me for this new little experiment. I have been thinking a lot lately about this question I get a lot, which isn't really about YouTube. It's more about, Tim, how do you do everything that you do? You have a business, you have 10 employees, you have this property that you manage, you and your wife have 7 little kids in 8 years, you homeschool all of them, and yet like most people are like, I have no idea how I even make it with my 2 kids or something. So I'm not really here to answer that question directly, but kind of am, because one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is, I've been learning lately is that a lot of the skills that I'm learning in my family also have translated to helping grow a successful business. And a lot of the skills I'm learning in growing a business have really helped me. Those same skills have translated totally just to my family and how my wife and I, Dana, how we raise our family and how we manage our kids and our own relationship with each other. And so the lessons and the skills are like really transferable. And I'm really getting more excited about this idea of how, instead of like having all these different compartments in our lives, what if instead of having all these different individual buckets, like we have our work bucket, our career bucket, our business bucket, and our finance bucket, and our home bucket, our marriage bucket, and our parenting bucket, like what if we just had one bucket, and all those things were kind of intertwined with each other instead of like being all these separate things, and now we have these conversations about work-life balance, and I'm like, what if those were the same thing? Like work, life weren't 2 things to balance. It was just like one bucket. And my wife and I have been leaning into that a lot lately and having some really good fruit come out of that. And in terms of what we're doing with our children and our family and our marriage. And so anyway, what I'm really looking forward to talking with you guys about here is just kind of my own personal journey along a lot of those things we've discovered, the things we've been implementing, especially as it correlates to growing a business and growing a family and a marriage. As I've grown my business, some of the things I've seen that have really been good, really helpful for our business is putting together really good systems that make the business more scalable and make it easier for us to make more money and serve more people. And taking that same mindset to the family, which would be like, hey, just because the current system we have only supports maybe 1, 2, or 3 children, you're getting 4, 5, 6, and 7. People are like, whoa, that's too many. Like, how do you do it? It's like, well, it's the same as business. The more kids you have, it just means you need better systems to manage it. And most people's systems in their family are only good enough, to be honest, to like support like a few kids. And they're like, I could never manage more than that. And you're right, with the current systems you have, you can't manage more than that. But with better SOPs, if you will, and better discipline strategies and things, like you end up doing things different out of necessity that make that type of large family scalability, if you will, much more manageable and fruitful at the same time. So, like, not just that though. Like having a goals and missions and objectives for your business really help move your business forward, help you take new ground. Having those same types of objectives and key results from your family, we've been seeing have been really, really helpful and fruitful for us. We do some stuff in our business with like personality tests and assessments, and helping me better understand how do I utilize each person on my team here in my business to really like get them in their zone of genius, so that what they're doing in our business is really fulfilling and rewarding for them and having maximum benefit for our business, but also taking that same skill set that I'm learning to do there and applying to my family. Like, who are the people in my family? And what are their zones of genius, and how can we utilize each of our children, even at 3 years old, to really use her to really benefit and support the rest of the family. Hiring like employees for the business, learn a lot there. That also is translated for us hiring family employees, whether it be cleaning people or nannies or lawn care or things like that. Not saying you should have or need to have any of those things, but just seeing a lot of overlap in those skills. What about like my team and I, our business, we do team retreats once a year. Like, I'm thinking, well, why don't we take that same thing that we do for our business is really good for our team, but also translate that to like a family team retreat? Like, what would that look like? What about continuing ed? Like, I'm constantly continuing educating myself for my business and my field. But like, what if I put that same amount of energy into continuing ed, if you will, for being a father, or being a husband, and being a teacher who homeschools my kids? What about project management? Like, those skills that we're learning in the business, and using those same project management skills to manage projects in our family. Managing money in the business versus at home. Setting priorities and boundaries in the business versus at home. I read a good book called Drive, like with the things that motivate people to work in your business. Like, a lot of those same principles that motivate your kids to work and your children. What about the branding elements that make it easier for a potential new customer to quickly fall in love with our brand and our business and want to become a customer? Those same branding elements for your, quote, family brand are the same things that will capture your kids' hearts for your family brand. What about creating like a really solid team culture with people that you like to work with? And also creating a really solid family culture with people you like to live with, What about time out of the office versus in the office? How do you equip and other people in your team to lead versus people in your family to lead? What about improving team morale in your business, and how you do that also in your family? Implementing team accountability, like who's responsible for what, and what happens when that accountability or when that responsibility falls through on your team, in your business versus on your family. All these things. Like, so I've just drafted. I'm looking here on my phone, just like 19 episode ideas already that I really want to dive into with you guys, and really explore this intersection between family and business and how these skills are transferable. Now, I am a busy person, so what I'm thinking for this podcast is that it'll be a pretty laid back thing. Like, I'm just doing this on my phone. I'm right now just sitting on the couch in our sunroom. Our house has this addition that the previous owners built onto it, and it's basically just kind of like, I'm trying to figure out how to explain it to you right now. We call it our sunroom because it's mostly just windows all the way around, and it's on a great view of our property. And I set out here in the morning in the winter when the sun comes up later, because I don't like to get up that early, but watching the sun come up and It's just great. It's awesome. I love this room. So I'm just sitting out here in our sunroom on the couch, just recording this on my phone, and I think that's gonna kind of be how these go. Pretty casual in the future. Like right now, it's at night. All the kids are in bed already, and my wife's working on some stuff before we hit the sack here. But normally, I think I'll just be doing these on the go, just on my phone, and might be kids around, people around, and that'll be okay. It'll feel like real life, and just want to test out this idea with you guys and just kind of get some things that are in my head out for you in case it's helpful at all. But and what my goal here is that it's helpful in two ways. That it's helpful in two ways, I guess. Depends on how you want to break it down. Whether the two ways, if you want to break it down two ways, it would be in your business and in your family. So the things that have been helpful for us in managing our team and our business and that income source, along with our family, making both of them fruitful. If you want to split it three ways, this is kind of how I split the title of this podcast idea I'm doing, called Business, Family, Marriage Podcast. You could split it three ways. And I don't really like the order of those, to be honest, putting business first, then family, then marriage. It really should go the opposite, which is marriage first, then family, then business. But if I say it any other way, it sounds weird. Because if I put business at the end, it sounds like it's the marriage family business. Like, so now it's like a family business, or it's a marriage business, or so business can't go at the end because then it sounds like I'm describing the business. So I had to put that first, and then marriage, family, marriage. Yeah. Anyway, I try to like all 9 different combinations. I'm like, this is the one that will be the least confusing. So, but yeah, it'll be pretty casual, pretty laid back. I'm not committing to an episode frequency, publishing schedule, or anything. Just when I've got time, and I hope that it really blesses you and your family. And one of the things I really want to do with this as well is turn it into a conversation as much as possible. I'm using an app called Anchor to record this, because if I'm going to get these done, like, it's got to be drop dead simple. I'm just going to do it on my phone while I'm on the go and just be able to publish it and be done. Like, I don't want to have to get the audio editing software out on my computer and make the MP3 and upload it to the hosting company and submit it to the iTunes and all that kind of stuff. It's just got to be drop dead simple. So, but one of the things this app has is the ability for you guys to call in and ask questions. And so if that's of interest to you, in the show notes, the description of this very first episode, you can just click that link, and it should just on your desktop or on your phone. I don't think you need to download the Anchor app, but I could be wrong. You can just go and just record a message. And I would encourage you to remember the 5 B's of public speaking, though. You know the 5 B's of public speaking? The 5 B's of public speaking are: be brief, baby, be brief. Okay, so like if it's like a run-on 5-minute question, I'm probably not going to be able to include it. But I really do want to hear from you guys. What are you guys learning? What like is standing out to you as you listen to the conversations that we're going to be having here on the show? What are the things, like the aha moments you have, or you're like, hey Tim, I get what you're saying here, but like, how does this apply to my situation? I don't really know. Like, yeah, just use that feature and leave some voicemail messages, and I'll do my best to include as many of those as I can in upcoming podcast episodes, and hopefully just make this a little dialogue, a little conversation for us to have together. So casual, laid back, and just talk about the real things in life with family, marriage, and business. But the title is the other way around: business, family, and marriage. Whew, it's going to be confusing for all of us. But thank you guys for hanging out, and I'm looking forward to diving into this adventure with you together.